New mic, new camera, episode 3. We're going big already. We're going big.
It's nice to hear you in HD.
See me in HD, hear me in HD.
Next week, 3D.
Next week, 3D.
It's nice every week so far. We're just like slightly improving the quality of everything.
Well, that's what it is about. That's what it's about. And, did I share that with you that the statistic is like 90% of podcasts die after the 3rd episode? Something crazy like that. Yeah. So this is our moment. We need to go past this one.
Okay, that's good.
Then another one, and then we're in the top 10% podcast in the world. So
excellent.
It's pretty good.
Well, hopefully we can just about manage that. I think we should be all right with that. We got enough content.
Yeah.
We're getting people seem to be enjoying it, unless they're just humoring us.
Yeah, unless they're just having fun. But let's talk about that a little bit. The stats so far. We said we'll share with people where we are, what we've done so far. So we've done two episodes came out. The intro one, the one from last week. This one you'll hear a little bit later when we upload it in a few days. But we did about, I think we're shy of 300 listens or downloads or whatever that means overall, which is insane. I think before we started, we were like, if we get 100 people, it would be like a big achievement. But
yeah, I think it was episode 1. We said that we set the target of 100. So if we 3x that, there we go. Kings
smashed
of growth.
It. Yeah, smashed it. I think we did 79 yesterday only. So with a new episode. So the new episode is growing, it's just been released a couple of days ago. So yeah, it's pretty good. We're on a ramp up. It's mostly in the UK, obviously, from all the people we know. Hi guys, thank you for listening. But we've got people from everywhere. Let me check quickly. We got
it's testament to just how good the kind of organic promo can be just through LinkedIn, especially if it's obviously a kind of professional-ish. I don't know how professional this is, but it's a professional subject at least.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we only done like organic outreach, like just posting on LinkedIn, on our LinkedIn's, a bit on Twitter for me, a bit of Instagram from like people we know on stories and stuff. There we go. Yeah, 77% UK, 6% US, and then we got 5% Singapore. Shout out Singapore. Spain after that, with like 3%, and then it goes into like the 1%. We've got like Greece, Netherlands, Finland, Germany, even Australia, Brazil. Only one in France. I'm offended a bit by France. I would hope maybe I need to speak in French a bit, maybe to up the numbers. But
it sounds like you just read out our world tour schedule.
Exactly for next year when we go on tour.
Yeah, the first ever podcast to play stadium.
Exactly. That's the bar. That's the bar. And then in terms of platform, it's like 40% Spotify, 30% Apple, and then we get a ton on like others. I basically connected the podcast to everything I could connect it with. So we're getting like listens from Google Podcast, Edge, Safari, Amazon Podcast. There's a couple, Firefox, Overcast, and there's like 40 downloads from unknown, the mystery unknowns. I don't know where they come from, but they're not tracked on any other platforms. But it's a lot of them. If someone listening knows where unknown come from, please let us know one way or another.
Just privacy conscious people.
Yeah, could be. And the big I think one of the big achievement already is that we top 20 Apple podcasts in marketing. We enter the charts, smash the charts. So yeah, and I've got a bit of pressure now. It's like we need to carry on, make sure it's good.
Yeah, definitely. I said that to Lizzie, and I showed her when you first posted about it, I showed it to her, and she was like, "Oh wow!" And I said, "Yeah, number 19 marketing podcast UK." And she's like, "Marketing podcast UK? Oh, I thought you meant global podcast."
Yeah, come on.
Thanks for the buzzkill.
Yeah, come on. There's a limit, in what we can do for now.
On
but
day 2.
yeah, on day 2, it was it's only been a week. Come on, it's okay. But I couldn't see the charts for Spotify. I think we need to connect a few more things, but hopefully they'll show up at some point too. But no, it's pretty good. It's encouraging. Basically, like we need to keep going for the long run. So yeah, we just wanted to share a little bit about that. I feel good. You feel good?
Very good, yeah. Enthused. It's nice to do something, have people engage with it, even if it's just, not hundreds of thousands of people, obviously, but it's cool to put something out there and just have some nice feedback, which is good. Also, I'm a nerd for any kind of audio gear, so it's given me an excuse to just spend an absolute shitload of money on a load of stuff that I don't need. Well, I guess you could argue that I do need, that's why now I can buy it rather than just buy it and not use it, so it's good. Microphone, new little sound card down here, everything.
Nice. Well, you convinced me. Look, I'm like speaking to this potato, and I've got my phone set up for the HD. So yeah, right. You converted me.
It's pretty cool. I think not many people know about the continuity camera thing on Apple. So we're actually both. Well, firstly, most people are listening on podcasts and not watching on YouTube because we've got hardly any views. But we are actually using our iPhones as webcams, which is pretty cool. If you want to upgrade your Zoom game, you can turn on continuity camera and just use that, which is great.
I don't know if we said, but we should say thank you to everyone who listened so far, and hope you like it. If you do, talk about it to your marketing colleagues, your friends. No, let's try and grow this thing even further.
Or just comment with us on LinkedIn, comment on the post, that's all good.
Yeah.
What's actually interesting is that my personal LinkedIn game has been slow for a little while. My SSI score wasn't terrible, but it dropped down. I think it was sitting at like 46 just before we started this. And the last week of obviously doing the podcast, putting it out there, commenting quite a lot on LinkedIn, getting the mentions and things, jumped straight up to 65. So
nice.
Pretty big jump. So
really big
it
jump.
Doesn't take much to get the LinkedIn algorithm liking you.
We should probably explain. Can you explain what the SSI score is on LinkedIn?
Yes, it is the social selling index. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. So it's LinkedIn's proprietary kind of score. They weight users, and I think there's 4 or 5 or 5 or 6 maybe different factors that feed into that. And it's building your personal brand is one, making connections, just general engagement. So basically everything you do on the platform feeds into your SSI score. Yeah. Anything over an SSI score of 80 and you're classed as a thought leader in your space.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing to aim for.
Do you want to know mine?
No, I think I know yours, but go on.
I don't know if I'm often above 80, but I'm solidly at 75, 76, solid. But, I've been posting on LinkedIn every day for the last 25 years, so,
yeah, don't I know it, man. That's all my LinkedIn's full of is your posts.
So yeah, no, it's pretty strong. But there's some things that I think, the ones that I can see on my side I could still improve is like the things that I think attached to being a salesperson, like a recruiter. It's like looking for people, contacting the right people in your niche. But I think I don't do that because I'm not recruiting people. Like I don't use like that kind of side of LinkedIn. So I think that's but I think you're right. Like anything above 80 is very, very hard to get. Very hard to get. If you Google LinkedIn SSI, you'll find a link, and it's something you can get for free. There's like a page for it.
Yeah, exactly. It's so the 4 things that feed into it are establish your personal brand, find the right buyers, which is kind of this a sales orientated one, obviously.
Exactly.
Engage with insights and stay up to date, and then build relationships. So at least 3 of those 4 should be pretty easy for everybody to do. And it's not bad for you or your company that you work for to obviously get yourself in people's feeds and get your name out there more on LinkedIn. So it benefits everyone really.
Maybe we should talk about a little bit of what we discussed in the last episode. Talked about AI, and we mentioned Apple as one of the potential contender in maybe using things like the AirPods in a way to inject AI, and they could be like the best in the game because everyone owns a pair, or they probably, I think the AirPods business itself would be a top 30 worldwide company in terms of revenue.
I'm sure, yeah.
By itself. So that's how big it is. And since the podcast came out, they did their tech summit or whatever it's called. But they didn't release that. They released something that we said was not great, or at least I said wasn't great, which is VR AR. They launched they're about to launch their Apple Vision Pro headset. And yeah, I think it's interesting. I think I've been reading on Twitter like what people are saying. There's a lot of like the engineers and designers involved in the tech that are like patting each other on the back, like, they've been working on that all their life or most of their career. And it's a big thing for them because they haven't released a brand new product for a long time. But I don't know what I think about it. What do you think about it?
I think it's better than if they had come out with a full VR headset. I think definitely AR, for me, I've always thought that's the most interesting way for this tech to go. I guess the earliest exposure that most people had, and probably myself included really, was Pokemon Go back in whenever that was, 2000, I don't know, 13, 14, or maybe a bit later than that, maybe 15, 16. And that is pretty low barrier to entry. Use your phone. I think there's loads of interesting applications for that, but none of that's really been realized. And it seems like the Apple's kind of doubling down on that. Makes life a bit easier if you can actually see out the back of the headset, which you can in the Apple one. So it's the thing that's always kind of freaked me out about wearing a VR headset is that if you're just in your house on your own, or in your room, whatever, in the middle of the night, and someone breaks in, and then you have no idea who's in, that would just freak me out. If I just standing in and walking around in a room with all of my senses taken away from me, I'd just be thinking, every 10 seconds I'd be lifting it up to make sure there wasn't someone standing.
Yeah. Like it does this thing in the video. They when they did the announcement, there's a lady in a plane, and she doesn't want to be disturbed, so she's watching a film. And everything around the screen that is projected in front of her becomes like I don't know, like the sky, or like she's, it like removes completely what's around her. And a little bit like what you said, like it's a bit freaky to think that it is like life happening around you, but like you're removing yourself completely from the external world. But for most of the application, the rest of the video is like you can see what's happening. It's just adding stuff about like on top of what you would see anyway. So I guess that's okay. I'm still bugged about the fact that I don't think that many people actually would walk around with the massive thing on their head that removes them from their like partner, their child, their friends, and continue like living their life, like talking to them and stuff while having this stuff on top of on their face. I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's like with everything, with every big tech advancement, you think that they probably already they've probably already made a version which is just the size of a pair of glasses. And they're just like, how can we scale this back 10 revisions so every 2 years someone's buying a new one? So that's what kind of pissed me off with that. I'm certainly not going to be going out and buying one, so we'll see. I thought when you're a kid and people are talking about potential VR in the future and putting a headset on, you're like, oh my god, that sounds amazing. Then when it comes out, I'm like, I never bought a VR headset. I can't be bothered with that. So I've been kind of the same about this. I'll wait for it to be super low barrier to entry and then have interest in it.
Yeah, I'll buy one on Vinted or something. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm sure, if it doesn't go well, you could pick one up in Computer Exchange in probably about 2 years for 500 quid.
Exactly. You wait for the second or third version, like you said. Yeah, that's when it gets a bit smaller. I thought it was cool. It was perfectly timed.
It was. It was almost like we planned it, but we actually hadn't, because we're not that professional at this yet. But on the kind of gaming angle, I just talked about gaming VR. What do you think about this Twitch stuff that's going on this week? And if people don't know, Twitch are basically, or they changed some of the policies of use for streamers, and a couple of the big changes was that they effectively said that you weren't allowed to burn in ads to your stream, which means that when you're watching Twitch or when you're streaming on Twitch, you have advertisers come up as interstitial ads, interspersed in your stream, the same as when you're watching YouTube and you see pre-roll and interstitial ads on there. And obviously that is all controlled by Twitch, and Twitch gets a cut of the ad revenue. I think it's 50-50 share between the platform and the streamer. But also streamers burn in ads. So if you contact a streamer directly and you say, I want to sponsor you or pay you, whatever, they give you an asset. Let's just say really simple. They give you their logo, and then in your streaming software like OBS or whatever they use, they will add that asset. So as you're watching the stream, overlaid on top of it is that asset, and it can't be taken away. It's effectively burnt into the video. And the reason Amazon and Twitch don't like that is because they're obviously not getting a cut of that revenue. So they changed their T's and C's, and they said that wasn't allowed. They also said that multi-streaming, I can't remember the name of it now, but streaming your stream onto Twitch and onto, say Google, onto YouTube gaming at the same time, wasn't going to be allowed either, because, naturally Twitch wants advertisers to come directly to them. They don't want to share any of that revenue with anybody else. So it was an interesting change, but obviously they reversed it.
Yeah, and they reversed it like yesterday or something. Like, that's interesting. So I think everyone's looking for more revenue these days, even companies like Twitch, and they're trying to be controlling over like how much revenue they make. It looks like they're not making, it's not too bad. I think I read it's like 50-50 or something like that split, which is, I think it's better than YouTube. Is it better than YouTube, which is like 70-30?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
So but that's also how they attracted streamers in the first place. So I think it's a bad move to like, the risk that you've got is that you're making money off of like a handful of streamers. What happens in marketplaces like that is that they're probably making 90% of revenue over the top 5% of streamers. Like then the long tail doesn't make anything, or not enough to like move the needle. So by changing revenue policies like that, the risk is that those 5% leave, and then you end up with, well, nothing. So they have to quickly revert back. Yeah, it's a difficult one. I also read that they have a problem with discovery. Discovery is like a big thing now since TikTok. Every platform is adapting to having like a better way for random content to be discovered, which means big and small streamers could get the attention, could become bigger or big in the first place. And that's not happening on Twitch. So it's a risky, I think they're playing it's a risky game. No pun intended.
Yeah. Your pun is just completely
it was so bad. Sorry. I just as I said it, I was like, oh my gosh, who am I?
Well, I think a couple of things about that. So one, on the discovery part, I was reading this interesting kind of essay from Lenny at Lenny's podcast, and he was talking about all the different marketplaces that there are, and basically the avenues they took to growth. And one interesting case study was that Patreon kind of worked out quite early on that actually they weren't a marketplace, because if you follow someone on Patreon, you probably haven't gone, the ability isn't there to do that, but they worked out early on was that you're probably not going to go to Patreon and search for whatever it is that you're interested in and follow people that way. And it's that if you're a content creator, you will already be building an audience, and you will advertise your Patreon through that audience. So you can't go, as far as I know, it's still the case. You can't go to Patreon and kind of browse for patrons to follow. It's just all comes in through. You might find someone on YouTube, you might find someone on Twitter, and you go in that way. So I think that's interesting, because Twitch is, you can obviously search on Twitch and there's a certain element of discovery, but you never see. I use Twitch quite often. I find it interesting. I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to watching video games. I've got kids, so I can't play them anymore. So sometimes I can watch other people play them, and but yeah, you find yourself watching the same people. So I kind of get that if you're trying to grow a following there, or probably worse, if you're just stuck at a point where you're committing so much of your life to it. You're streaming for hours and hours a day, which you effectively have to do to stay on the partner program, but you can't ever get that organic discovery up to actually make a living from it. That must be incredibly annoying. And Mr. Beast said that with the Twitch changes, they need to work with, rather than trying to work against partners and do things like this, they need to work with partners to help them grow, to help them get more money and effectively grow, which I think is definitely true. On the flip side, as a consumer, I don't know how I would feel going down that road of, like, I get that a content creator owns the content, they should be able to do what they want with it. But if you're watching, take it back to the concept that maybe more people understand, or are used to. If you're watching Netflix and the production company has done a deal with Coca-Cola, and every 10 seconds through The Last of Us, you're getting like a Coca-Cola bottle to come up on the screen and spin around with a banner come off saying enjoy a Coca-Cola. That's going to be pretty annoying. And there's definitely the way that it's going with Twitch. So I guess they have a balance of overloading people with ads, so the audience turns off, versus I think it's probably easier to keep those big streamers on if you're making new changes that they don't like. But if you start taking things away from them, so if you're introducing things that are maybe a bit shit, then they're probably not going to have as big an impact on streamers leaving than if you take something away. And I think they see this as taken away, so it's pretty badly handled by Twitch, I think.
Yeah, I think so. It also shows like how powerful the whole like creator economy is at this point. It's like company policies like can be flipped around in a couple of days because creators are so powerful. It also made me think about something else actually. As you're growing as a creator, as a streamer, let's say, like you're relying so much on these brand collabs, not so much on the revenue of the actual stream, because the share, like we said, is better on Twitch 50-50, but like you're losing effectively more than half of what you would have made without the platform. So you don't fully own the platform, but you have to do that as you're grinding up. And then when you get really, really big, what we're seeing now is creators building their own product. So they're removing themselves completely from the platform, or they still use it for distribution, obviously, but then they have their own like business model where they make 100% of the profit, or like a very high margin, especially in the DTC product world, with like Mr. Beast and his like burgers, KSI, Logan Paul with the Prime drink.
Yeah.
Even like Pharrell Williams with his, there's more low key, like it's not really like in the discussions, like when you hear about that stuff, but he's got his own like human, I think it's called Human Race, the whole like men's skincare product. I'm on the emails for that stuff. I never bought it, but it's really well designed and the emails are really, really nice. But he's using his fame and then you've got all the, the Kardashians and, in the cosmetics and fashion world. But I think that's coming to like, gradually into like people who they're known as streamers, but, they're not celebrities. That's the same kind of celebrities. Like they're coming up as, that's interesting. That's interesting as well.
Yeah, I mean, you got to diversify, right? You can, if you're making all of your money through YouTube or Twitch, and you don't have a product, and like you say, they all do. If you find anyone that's successfully creating content on YouTube and has a successful channel, they will I mean, one is pretty interesting. They will probably do a video which is like breakdown of my monthly income, which I'm absolutely obsessed with watching those videos. And it is usually always the bulk of the cash comes from YouTube views if the channel's big enough. But then secondary to that, they've got their course or their ebook or their guide to doing what they do. And it's just, it makes sense from a business perspective to do that.
Yeah, for sure. But let's make a promise today that I would never make a course. Fucking 8 courses.
I couldn't be bothered to keep a course up to date.
Oh my gosh.
I actually thought in the past, maybe I'll do a YouTube video on, Facebook ad optimization or management, stuff like that. But this was probably, now you search that and there's up 6 trillion videos on YouTube about that. If you go back maybe 5 or 6 years, not so many. I just thought, what's the point? Because as soon as you put it out, there'll be a change and you have to keep changing it.
Yeah.
Again, so I just couldn't be bothered with that.
And also like that's what they don't tell you when they sell you the course, right? I thought about it a few times, but it's like, I always feel like it's a scam. I never bought a course myself. Maybe, I don't know if you did, but
no.
I feel like it's such a waste of time. Some are cheap. So it's like, yeah, okay, maybe. But some are so expensive and it feels like it's just like a lot of the course as well are about how to grow something. It doesn't actually teach you how to do something like an actual skill. It's like, how can you become like me? Or I don't know. It's like, it's a bit strange.
I heard this interesting quote. There was, if you asked 5 lottery winners what their tip was to win the lottery, they would just tell you the numbers that they chose that week. And it's like, nice. All of those people had different numbers at different times, but they still won the same thing. And it's the same as anyone. If you manage to grow a product, there is no framework that works for everybody. Every business is different. So there's really no point, but you can get sucked into it. I get ads all the time coming up that's the best ever proven meta scaling strategy, and even someone who knows it's bullshit, you're like, oh, it's pretty cool. I think what they're actually good at doing is creating a super clickbait ad.
Yeah, it's FOMO. Yeah, it's FOMO, and
which is obviously an amazing skill.
The copywriting, it's like, there are some tricks to like have like very good copywriting, make it sound like it's amazing. And I got asked like last week, someone that I didn't know actually asked they asked me if I recommended any course, and I was like, never bought any, don't do any course, just watch YouTube, like just Google it, or you find a search on YouTube, even TikTok now, just like search on TikTok, there's probably like some guy who's just telling you for free, and just compile that, make your own conclusions, and then try for yourself. Like you said, it's not going, the same things are not going to work for you, but some others will. So like, you need to keep testing. I find it course game is funny. What I like though is the paid subscription side of things. I think when you grow an audience big enough, having exclusive behind a paywall, I think that's nice, because then you get it's similar on Twitch, right? Do you get exclusive content as well? Can you have like exclusive streams, or is it?
I don't know if you get exclusive content. You get access to like exclusive emojis that you can use in the tweet, or you can by donating, you can put a message in that comes up on the screen. So it's crazy what people pay for. Watching is like someone's just paid like £15,000 to just say like, let's go. Like, okay,
I love it. That's cool though. Like it's it's been quite a few years now with like mobile gaming and stuff. You just buy for virtual stuff all the time. An extra life, some coins, some new hat for your character, whatever it is, like us. And the fact that it's happening on the creator side is funny. But I think on what we're doing is cool. Like when you have a podcast, you can have exclusive episodes with exclusive content. If you got like a nice following, you get enough people to do that, and that sustains. That can be like a nice side income or your main income eventually. So it's
you could translate them all into French and then sell them to your French audience.
Exactly. Well, talking about that, another potential evolution of the podcast soon. I got in touch with this guy on Twitter since I'm back trying to do something on Twitter. I'm not leaving LinkedIn alone, but I like to spend a bit more time on Twitter. And I connected with this guy. which we should probably have on the podcast at some point, is building a product that auto-translate what we say in any languages in the world in real time, like dubbing.
Oh, wow.
And it works as I think it's a plugin on YouTube. So when we put the video on YouTube, you've got this like little button next to the subtitles. You can select the language, and suddenly, je commence à parler en français, and it'll be the same for any language. We can Portuguese, Russian, whatever. And then what that does is that the discoverability of your content becomes worldwide straight away. So it's pretty cool.
That's very cool. Yeah, I saw a bit of a discussion on LinkedIn a couple of days ago, and this guy posted like these are the top 5 most subscribed YouTube channels, and he was basically saying they'd all started a decade ago, and it's all about consistency is key. But someone commented and said 2 things that I thought really interesting and agreed with. 1, she was these are all guys, and 2, these are all like in English language. And if you actually expand that out and you look at the most subscribed channels, I think the 3rd most subscribed YouTube channel is a 9-year-old girl in Russia. It is in English, so she was excluded just because she was a girl, so that's bullshit. But it just shows you that you can have like over 100 million subscribers, and the majority of those come outside of English speaking markets. So it's a massive audience to tap into if you have the ability to do that, because obviously it's incredibly difficult and nobody is translating their podcast or their videos into multiple languages.
No one's doing it. I think again, talking about Mr. Beast, I think he had a Spanish channel on YouTube where he was doing all the dubbing himself with his team. But I think it's already the case, all about to come out, that it's going to be in any languages available everywhere. So I think it's a nice evolution for sure. There was another thing also. I saw a guy I'm connected with, George Mack, on his Twitter. Like he shared, I think 16% of the worldwide population actually speak English. Only 16. So when you think about it this way as well, it's like you're cutting yourself off like, more than 80% of your potential audience. And like we saw on the podcast, just, with just under 300 downloads, there's already, I even tell you, like at the end, there's a listen in Kenya. It's like everywhere. You start getting exposure everywhere. I think you can grow a lot faster that way. If you're making yourself available in any languages. So yeah, we should do that.
Yeah, definitely. And now that you can train an AI on your voice, you can even have the person speaking another language that sounds like you, which is pretty bad.
You know what would be really crazy is, I don't know how we feel about that, hearing myself dubbed in French with another voice that is not my French voice. That's trippy. I wanted to briefly talk about changing subject. A talk I did yesterday, so by the time this comes out, it'll be like last week, in London at the Youth Marketing Strategy Conference. And I talked a lot about TikTok ads and how to be successful with TikTok ads. And it was much bigger than I thought. It was a big room.
There's impressive photos.
It was a big room, and the guy before me that I never heard of, but apparently it must be really good. I think his name is Matt Horn, and he's I think he's doing social media for the University of Newcastle. So if you listen to this, you smashed it. It was just before me, and I've asked so much pressure because it was so good. It was like dropping jokes. It was speaking really fast, like really entertaining. He had his whole like spiel, prepped all the slide, and it was all about you are never gonna win on social media. And it was like all these jokes about why you're never gonna win, because you've seen the memes around like working in social media. Yeah. So that was all around that, very entertaining, almost like a comedian, to be honest. And I was like, I'm like, I need to go after this. It's not gonna be good. So it put the pressure a little bit. But a few things I mentioned that I think are were quite well received is the whole like TikTok SEO thing. So I mentioned it earlier. Even I go on TikTok and search for some stuff. Now, if you want like a recipe, or if you something on marketing for a specific channel, there's probably somebody who's already made a video about like the top 5 things you need to do about something. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. And often the ones that are very low in views are actually really good. They're the one that no one watch because they're not like edited or whatever. So that's quite interesting as well. But how you can appear in, like, do some research on keywords on TikTok. So seeing like the number of views on a particular niche, and then how to own that niche by creating content and making sure that you always mention that keyword in the video, in the caption, in the hashtag, but also in the in-video text that you put on top, as well as the thumbnail text. So everywhere, basically, you put everywhere you can put text, you put that keyword. And what I will do is then when you're on the For You page and you scroll, the videos will have like a search title at the top. That's how they've been. TikTok tells you the keyword that is attached to each video, and when it doesn't, it says find related topics. That's when the video doesn't have a keyword attached to it. And I've seen it on our account, Nude, at the company I work for. Some of our videos have the keyword, some don't, and it depends on how you actually do that well or not. And then what you can do is if you start appearing for certain keywords, you can create like content series within that, and then you create like a little rabbit hole within your content where people will watch part 1, part 2, part 3, and go down that that keyword rabbit hole. I thought that was really good. So some people taking pictures of the slide, so I thought that was cool. The other thing I mentioned,
it's the barometer for success.
Have you heard about this? The keyword thing, the SEO on TikTok?
Not to that level of detail. I mean, I know that I read a stat like it was 40% of Gen Z say that they use TikTok and Instagram search over Google, which I thought was absolutely mad. And
crazy.
We're doing some work at Hex for an app that's launching in a couple of months, and we've been doing a lot of research around kind of Gen Z and if SEO is still relevant. And the most interesting thing that came out of that was that these guys are actually using TikTok for search, and even to the extent that Izzy on my team, she's tailored her search TikTok searches so well that the recommendations that she gets through that for like things to do around her and like places to go, because the app we're building is all about finding things to do and meeting up with your friends and doing cool stuff. Her feed is so curated that she just goes on it and it recommends things to her that are relevant and in the right area and based on all the stuff that she typically searches. So that was kind of new to me, because I'm a TikTok ad user, but I'm not like a TikTok doom scroller.
Yeah. Really cool. Really, really cool. The other thing that you might not know about is that when you work with a creator, an influencer, whatever, and they put their video into their profile, and you're like whitelisted, you use it for Spark ads and things like that. If it does well organically and with the Spark ads, or if the video does well, you can just ask them to pin it onto their profile, right? So you can have 3 videos at the top of your account pinned, and that creator will continue creating videos every day into their profile. So my hot take is, ask the creator nicely. They want to pin the video. If there's a lot of views, they will, because it serves them as well. So win-win. You're pumping ads in the back, so the video views keep going up, the engagement goes up. The likelihood of them keeping it as a pin video increases over time if the video does well. And any new pieces of content that they do that drives people to their profile, chances are they're going to look at the pin video, because it's like your CV really on TikTok, and they'll find your brand. So I thought it was really good. And one of our best video from last year, 12 months ago. I checked the creator. She still has the pin video on her profile. A year later, we haven't used that video for a long time, but it's still on there. So it's like, that's a little SEO hack for TikTok. Like, imagine you do that for 100 creators, 1,000 creators, and you're like in the pin video of each of them. Some will say no, but some will say yes, because it's, like I said, it's a win-win for both.
Yeah, that's mad. I guess as long as you're supporting it and you're driving up those views, and they're just, like you say, they'll be mad not to pin that up there.
Yeah, you spend money on them. So why not?
There we go. Knowledge bomb.
Take that.
And we didn't have to travel to the youth marketing conference to get your hot takes.
Yeah, you get it a week later, but it's okay. It's not. It's still up to date. Maybe we should say we are going to bring guests to the podcast in the following weeks. Not every time, but when we have some good ones. And it looks like we've got some good ones. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think we've already kind of discussed about how we're going to do this, and a big thing for starting this podcast was about doing things slightly differently. And the problem sometimes with a podcast with a guest is that it's like turns into a big interview about that person's backstory and all that stuff, which is really interesting. But a lot of the time they just start getting into the meat of the interesting actual content that they can give, and then it's like at the end of the interview. So I think our goal is to bring them into our conversation, ideally around a topic that they're kind of comfortable with, and they can open up and educate everybody on, and just have it more still casual, and just have it as a chat.
You said it. That's what we're going to do. One thing we're not going to do is having like fire question at the end. I hate that stuff.
Quick fire question.
Quick fire question is so annoying. I've done them myself a lot as a guest on other podcasts. We are not going to do that. So if you're worried about that, this is not happening. We're not doing silly questions about shit that you don't care about.
Yeah.
Just gonna
Nike or Adidas, Tesla or Mercedes. Who cares?
Who cares? Exactly. So just to shit on other podcasts a little bit. Just listen and learn. So yeah, that's coming up. It's exciting. I can't wait. That means we need to do a little bit of preparation. And it's the only difference between now and when we have a guest. Just a little bit of work. That's okay.
Well, hopefully no one will be able to tell, but they probably will be able to. This is going to have to be so far the most edited podcast, because there was issues on my side that have to be chopped in and chopped out. So normally this is almost one take, but hopefully I can make it.
It's fine. It'll be seamless. You know that
magic.
Like I'm good. It's fine. I always mark the content as explicit, so I'm gonna keep cursing on this. It's fine, just to be relaxed. That it's not a meme. It's the photo of like Michael Jordan with a quote in the middle, black and white, and it just says "fuck them kids." I love that, and he's like really serious in it. So I think it's from since the Last Dance. I keep it on my phone, and I know some other dads out there that use that sometimes on their like Twitter or Instagram. It makes me laugh every time when I have a bad moment with a kid. I'm like, fuck them kids.
That is definitely the mantra to live by with children.
All right. On that note, I think we're good for this week.
You can end with a literal mic drop.
Oh yeah, mic drop.